Thank you so much for joining me today on Senior Fitness with Meredith. So today's learning level topic is going to be about arthritis in the hands. So we're going to go through a few different exercises that you can do if you do have arthritis or just pain and stiffness in your hands. And then I'm going to show a couple of modifications. Again, these learning levels, of course, are for everyone to watch, but reminders, few things that instructors can cue on as far as holding different pieces of equipment. So what we will use, we're going to stay seated in our chair. You can always do these things standing if you want to work on your balance and core as well. But we'll have our chair. You can have a platform that you can put your hand on if you're going to go along and do the exercises with me. Again, I'm going to show a few repetitions, not doing the whole workout, giving you some things that you can do for that arthritis or pain in your hands. A ball, a washcloth, a tennis ball, a stress ball. Even if you have, when we use those circle balls and yours is maybe a little bit smaller that you can actually grab onto, that's perfect. And then the band, that's where I'm going to show different modifications that you can do. So if you want to grab that equipment and then come back and meet me here, and I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. We'll go ahead and get started with our few exercises that you can do and stretches. So for arthritis in the hands, arthritis by definition basically is wearing away at the cartilage that's in between your joints. So you start to feel that pain, pressure, you'll get inflammation on those joints. Again, arthritis is throughout the body. I'm just focusing on hands today, so that's why I'm pointing to hands. So you'll get inflammation, you'll get stiffness, so those fingers don't want to bend, very sore, pains that will keep you up at night and want to prevent you from doing things throughout your day. So that's why I wanted to bring these exercises to you that you can do to make sure you keep moving. A lot of times people say, and I've had people come to me and say, is it okay if I do exercises? I have arthritis, my hands hurt today. It's actually very beneficial, especially some of the things that I'm going to show you will actually get movement and lubrication going in between those joints, which is going to help with the inflammation and going to help with the pain that you're feeling. So with all of that being said, our first thing, we'll get to equipment in a little bit. So if you're sitting in your chair, always remember our good posture, tight core, strong, straight spine, relax those shoulders down. All you would do is squeeze your hands into a fist, hold that for a couple of seconds, and then lengthen those fingers out as long as they can go, and then hold that for a couple of seconds. Again, I know with that arthritis, sometimes that does not feel right, but it is helping those joints. So just squeeze into that little fist, squeeze, 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 lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Breathe with it too when you're doing those exercises. Inhale, exhale. Let's just do one more. Squeeze, 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 and then lengthen them out. And then always give a little shake out of those hands. Next one is finger bends. I'm showing you on both hands. I always like to say, sometimes people say, my arthritis really flares up in my right hand. Well, that doesn't mean just do exercises on the right side. Let's be equal because you never know what will happen with the other side, right? Let's strengthen it, let's stretch it as well. So finger bends are next. So what you try and do is get each finger towards the palm of your hand. Hold it there again for a couple of seconds, lengthen it back out, then go to the next one, lengthen it back out. That's all you're doing, those finger bends. Lengthen out. You're going to feel that stretch, not only through the fingers, but through the wrist, through the forearm, all those tendons that run through each finger. Want to stretch those out. Again, you're just doing that a few rounds as you hold that stretch, feel that stretch, breathe into that stretch. When we do our exercises and we do our stretches, we do big muscle groups usually, right? Because after we've done a workout, the body, we want to stretch out the big things that we've worked with our weights, with our cardio, whatever it is that we've done. Think about all the little parts of the body that still need to be stretched. Don't neglect those. So those are your finger bends, trying to get fingers towards the palm of your hand, including the thumb, towards the palm of the hand, and then lengthening back out. A little shake of that. Next one, again, remember our posture. Even if you're standing or sitting, Don't neglect the posture as you do your stretches. So next one, all you're going to do is try and make an O with your hands. You're trying to get fingers to your thumb, and you're holding that. Now, a lot of times people with arthritis, or say a lay person is watching this, says this is super easy to do. It's not for everyone. This is a very hard movement when you have stiffness and your fingers don't want to bend at all. Lengthen that back out. So making your O's is the first one. You do that for a few rounds, and then just simply making a C, holding that position, and then lengthen back out. Always lengthen back out in between. Give that part of your body a stretch. Think about when we do our big stretches, like I said. So making those C's and O's. Those are your next ones. Then shake it back out. Next one will be knuckle bends. So just like it sounds, you have those fingers lengthened. I just want you to bend through your knuckles. Hold that. Lengthen back out. So what we're trying to essentially do is get to every part of your finger, every joint in those fingers. Lengthen back out. I have a hard time doing my thumb at the same time, so do fingers and then work on your thumbs. If you can do them all at the same time, really get everything working, get that brain going too. Really have to focus. Hold it, lengthen back out. So let's do a couple more together, but again, these are for you to do on your own, finding that time throughout the day. These can be done numerous times throughout the day, not just once. So if you're watching TV and you have your little list written down, keep that close to you and say, oh yeah, the next commercial, I'm going to go through these 3. You may do some and they just don't feel right for you. Don't do those. Do the ones that benefit you the most. That's why I'm giving you a number and not saying, here's 3, make sure you do these 3. And we're not all built the same. Remember that. Some will feel better than others. Make sure you listen to your body first and foremost when it comes to anything that we do, but especially when we're working on different things such as arthritis. So next one, that's where if you have that surface to go ahead and put your hand on, and I'll do it with one hand to show you, but again, if you're doing it, either both at the same time or do right, then do left. So your hand will go onto that table. All you're going to do is try and lift your finger up one at a time, then release it. Then that pointer comes up, release it. Middle finger, really stretch, release. That ring finger comes up, and now that pinky. And then you'll keep doing that. So again, thumb, hold it, release. Trying to keep the palm planted down onto that surface that you have. It can be your coffee table, your kitchen table, your countertop, wherever you're at. You can even put it on the side of your couch or chair. So lifting those fingers, finger lifts, doing a few rounds of those as you hold those fingers up. Shake it out in between. Still using that surface, you're just going to walk the hand. It's almost like you're making your knuckles come up and then walk back. Feel like you're a spider, right? Come up, fingers are close together, and then walk it back. Just going back and forth. Same type of movement, but I want you to lift them in like an inchworm position and then coming back. So really working on getting every knuckle engaged, every part of your hand engaged. So your finger lifts, your finger walks, you're a spider, you're an inchworm. All right, next one, little shakeout. Now we really want to focus, especially when you're doing all of these exercises, to stretch through your wrist, your forearm, entire part of that hand. So I'm going to show you different ways to do this. With it down on a surface, you'll keep that palm planted. You'll try and bring that forearm down. Lift the fingers up. Now lift the palm up and then release it back down. Lift it up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Feel the stretch. Feel that stretch through the forearm, those tendons. So you'll do a few repetitions of those. Again, you feel that stretch. A lot of times we want to rush through it. Hold it. Breathe into it. And then you'll turn the hand over. So palm is facing up. Forearm is still down onto that surface that you're using. Same thing, you're going to lift the back of your hand up. Palm comes towards you. Hold that. Release it down. Bring that palm up. So you're getting that range of motion, that stretch in your wrist, again, forearm. So a few of those where you're holding that. So that's using your table, the wrist and forearm stretches. So like I said, you can do those different ways. If you have the range of motion and it feels okay, you can kind of do the same thing without using anything to put your hand on. So you can bring that arm out nice and long and manually pull your fingers back. This might be too much of a stretch for you though. That's why it's great to put it on a surface if this is just too much. But that might become easy and you need to up your game a little bit. Then this is your other way of doing it. Same thing. Hand goes down, palm is towards you. You press gently in towards you, holding that. Release it long. Again, pull in towards you. Release, little shake out. Remember, you'll do both sides, even if only one side is the one that's bothering you. So now we will pick up our equipment so I can just show you different things. So of course I like to have all kinds of different variations because not everyone has a little stress ball that has give to it. A tennis ball is an option, but it doesn't have a lot of give. It's quite hard, so you won't get as much pressure into it and range of motion as you will with a soft stress ball, which you can order online. You can find them at the dollar store. They're everywhere. So that's an option. Again, the ball, the playground ball that we call it, the air ball that we sometimes use for exercises, if you have enough air out of it that it's small enough to hold in one hand and it gives you a grip and range of motion, that's another option. Or a washcloth. If you don't want to go out and buy something, just put that washcloth into your hand. Same thing, get that same movement of squeezing. All right, so those are options. I'm going to show you with the stress ball. It's the same movements we've already done, but we just did it with air. If you have an object, now do it with the object. Those squeezes where you squeeze, squeeze, hold, and then release that. Squeeze, squeeze, hold. So now you have a little bit more resistance no matter what object you're choosing to use. Again, that tennis ball, the playground ball, the washcloth, or your stress ball, or you can still do it with air. Squeeze. You'll do a few of those. Again, when I work with people with arthritis and I have them do these movements, they say, I don't know if that's going to be good. Afterwards they go, my hands feel so much better. It really does get things working, moving, lubricated. All right, so same thing, holding onto your object, you'll just press each appendage into it. So you'll press your thumb, you'll hold that. You'll press your pointer, again, like we did before when we were trying to get those fingers towards the palm, working your way down, feeling the different weaknesses. Usually we're weaker in the outer part of our hand, the pinky and the ring finger, and then kind of work your way back. Back to the middle. You'll feel the pointer is quite strong, and of course that thumb is super strong. So going through that a few times, work your way down, both hands. If you have 2 washcloths, you have 2 playground balls, 2 stress balls, do it all at the same time. You'll get it done quicker. So that's another exercise with your object, doing your hand squeezes into a fist and your finger squeezes, each individual one. So that going away, one more fun thing, and we've done these in our exercises before, and I just think it's good because it's not only good for your body, it's really good for your brain. So you'll just take your thumb and touch each individual finger. So your thumb goes to your pinky, thumb goes to ring, thumb goes to middle, thumb goes to pointer, work your way back down. Thumb to middle, thumb to ring, thumb to pinky. Ring, middle, pointer, middle, ring, pinky. Go at your pace. Again, this isn't just the body working, it's the brain telling which finger to go down next. Ring, middle, pointer, middle, ring, pinky. Definitely when you're done with that one, shake it out, shake the brain out. Get done with that. So those are your basic exercises that you can do to really stretch and strengthen those fingers, to get that lubrication in those joints again, that synovial fluid basically that the joints need, but they lose that when that cartilage wears away. Once the cartilage is gone, there's no synovial fluid to go there because the synovial fluid is built up by the cartilage. So you need to do these movements to keep everything lubricated. So those are your basic exercises. Now, as far as if you're using equipment, especially the bands, that's the big one that I hear, that they're hard to hold on to. So of course, when we have our long bands, and I have a tendency to prefer the flat bands as opposed to the circular ones. The tubing is harder to wrap, it's harder to get lighter resistance on basically and more range of motion and movement from. So I always have a tendency to use the flat bands, especially with all the different variations they have, the different degrees of resistance. So if you're holding that band, this is hard to do. I feel it in my hands too when we hold them for a long time. If you don't want to tie knots in it, which I'll show you in a second, wrap your hands. Same thing. You don't have to grip it so hard, but you have that resistance still. Same thing with length still through those fingers. So that is an option with your bands. So you can just wrap it. Simple, simple. If you would like to tie knots into your band, because you know that's your band, it's going to be yours forever, you can do whatever you want with it, that's another great option. So now, essentially same thing as wrapping it. I've got my hands on the inside of those knots, and I can do my same movements. I like one on either end and one in the middle, because for smaller range of motion things, you have that smaller length. For larger range of motion things, larger length, right? So that's another great thing. Again, it's just barely holding on, but that knot is stopping my hand from slipping off, but I don't have to grip with those fingers. So that's an option. And then you always have the option of getting already fixed circle bands, or if you have some extra long bands, tying a knot in it. So these, when you do different shoulder movements, you don't even have to put your fingers on it. You can put your hands in it, and then you can do your movements. Same thing when you bring it up and over the knees for the lower body movements. You don't have to hold on to that band so it doesn't slip off. It goes up and over the knees, the hands get a break, you don't have to hold on to it. So a fixed tied band or one that you can tie, but I always say once you tie a knot in these flat bands, it's usually there forever. So if you have a couple extra, that's where I say you can tie a fixed tie in it. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to try and get that knot out and use it for the next exercise when it's a long band again. So all of those different options you can do for arthritis in your hands. So I really, really hope you find these helpful. If you do have pain, stiffness, weakness in your hands, or prescribed arthritis, then try these exercises. See if maybe 2 or 3 are really good for you and beneficial and you feel a difference, and try and do those daily. Before exercise, after exercise, throughout your day a couple of times. Feel the difference in how those hands feel, and then let me know in a comment below. So thank you so, so much for watching today. I hope you found this helpful. Any questions, comments, let me know, but I'll see you next time.